this Monday evening, Monday the 8th of September. Now, sorry, obviously I haven't streamed today. This is the first stream that I've done. I've been doing a few bits and pieces today. There wasn't really necessarily anything to go through that we haven't already spoke about. You know, one of the things I will say on here is that I try not to do things for clickbait, and I try not to regurgitate the same sort of stuff over and over again. But obviously we do talk about some of the same things. Obviously I've been making videos as well. Hi JB, hi Scott, I hope you're doing extremely well. Hope you've missed me today. This is the first stream that I've done today, purely because, again, you know, there's not loads of stuff around today, and you know, I'm not just going to regurgitate the same old stuff for clicks. But I have been working on a video that is going to come out. I was going to do it live, but the problem with doing the video that I've got planned live is that the world and his wife, it is going to take about 3 hours to do. So I'm going to do it. I'll put it out there, and then you guys can give me your opinion on it. Yeah, so Scott, mate, legend of the chat. You know, well, one of the things about me, mate, is that what you will learn is that I don't just do things for clicks, right? I probably should do, but I think it's really important to get important topics out there. Now, tonight's topic for me, again, this is a kind of easier show, right? The evening shows are kind of where we, you know, it really is led by you guys. You know, whatever you're doing, let me know in the chat. But I wanted to come up with a topic that I saw today, which I truly believe disgusting, hypocritical. Now, I think I saw this today, and I thought it was really, really important to bring into this. Now, I've written some stuff down because I wanted to walk through this as well. Now, again, what I'm going to say, edits, salam alaikum, hello, my friend. I want to see you react to Lorna Shaw's new song. I need to listen to it. So let me know where you are in the chat. Let me know if there's Danny B. Welcome to the chat, my friend. Let me know what you've been up to today. If you want to bring in some stuff that you want to talk about, then this is the show. Shamil, hi bro from Kerala, India. Hello, my friend. It's nasty, man. I'm gonna give it a listen. I'm from Turkey. Welcome here, my friend. So, what I want to talk about this evening, and I think that this is going to get brushed over, yes, again, and I do hope some of the channels. Now, one of the things I did want to start off and say, actually, is one of the videos, I'm going to give a shout out to one of the bigger channels today. You can figure it out who it is. I bumped into Danny on the T stream the other day. Shocking, lads. Shocking. I'm kidding, of course. So I will give credit to the United stand today. Now, one of the things that I did say the other day that I alluded to was that with Anana, some people on certain outlets, on bigger channels than mine, championed it and hadn't come out and said anything today. Now, I need to big them up on that, because a certain person on that channel was a mouthpiece for Anana, and they've come out today and they've come back and they've admitted that they were wrong. And as I said a couple of shows ago, that I think if you've got a platform that's big and you are influencing people and saying things like that, then I think you've got a responsibility to come out and then say that. And I can't, yeah. Exactly, Scott. You know, so I've got to applaud them for that. I have to say, you know, I think that's a very big thing to do. So big up to them for putting it out there. I think it's the absolutely correct thing to do. It's almost like watching the show. It's almost like the things that I say on here. It's almost like they're watching the show. Of course they're not. But it's good to see that the things that I predict and the things that I think are right, that actually in the end people do those things, not because I think I'm right or not because it's because it is the right thing to do. So what I wanted to do today, Bobby, legend of the chat, Bobby, I promise I will not ban you tonight. Yeah, um, yeah. So what I wanted to do tonight is I wanted to go through gigs. Now, gigs, it can be a divisive topic. I think sometimes in life, Tulip Play says hello Tulip, legend of the chat. And one of the things I want to say about Gigsy, and for the purposes of this, okay, we can talk about the both sides, but I wanted to focus on the football side. Now, I think there's a very big. I think the FA are. I think the Premier League are hypocrites on this, and I shall tell you for why, because I've written some stuff down. Giggsy deserves to be in the Hall of Fame if they consider off the pitch and half of the legends would be ruled out. And Chirp plays. I've got some hardcore facts here as well. Got some facts. So let's talk about Giggsy. Right, let's talk about Giggsy as a player, and then let's talk about some of his stats. And again, let's keep this friendly tonight. If there's anyone in the chat and this is your first time here, then what I'm going to say is just be respectful of this community, respectful of this chat. We don't mind infiltrators from different clubs. All we ask is respectful. Banter is absolutely fine, but just get into this chat. This is some of the best chat on it, and obviously don't forget to like, favourite and subscribe. It really does help us out. So what did I want to Messi or Cristiano? I have a simple answer for this. It's basically this: Messi is a gift. Okay, Messi is one of these players that is a gift. Okay, if you believe in stuff and you believe in certain things in life, Messi, it is a gift, right? Ronaldo is the epitome of hard work. He does have a gift, but Cristiano, if he didn't work so hard, he would have basically just been another player. He could have just not been as good as he was, but the fact he's trained hard, he's 41 years old, he's pretty much the same age as me, and he is playing football at not at the highest level, but he's going to go to another World Cup. So that is, for me, the difference is I can't split between the two. Messi is a gift and Cristiano is the epitome of hard work. Tulip says he has more Premier Leagues than any other player, not play a team. Exactly, you get one every time. Yes, of course. So let's talk about Giggsy. Get your memories of Giggsy in, and I'll tell you mine because I was there from the very beginning with Giggsy. So I can tell you about Giggs as a player. Now, Giggs as a player came through when he was about 17 years old. So Giggsy was part of the class of 92, but he was a little bit older than that. So he was at the upper end of that. But Giggsy was so good that he came through at 18 and he came into that United squad of about 92. Exactly, right? Palmer. Osama, I'll get into that in a bit. If I'm going to pick one or two, it's Palmer, mate. Palmer all day long, right? So, like the memories of Giggsy, exactly, you're talking about the semi-final against Arsenal. What a goal. One of the best. People forget about that game. Giggsy pretty much won that. Rob, well, welcome to the chat, my friend. Depay all-time. I mean, like, who would have thought that? Depay is not on Van Persie's level, but I think he's overtaken him, hasn't he? So I think that's an absolute, like him or not, I get it. But for me, Van Persie is sometimes there are players who score more goals, but are not as good as the person that are in second place. So, yeah. So, Giggsy. What do I remember of Giggsy? I remember him coming through. I remember watching. There was a game that I saw him first, and one of the comments was, so he was sprinting down the line, and he must have been about 18, and there's a famous saying that I watched, and it was saying it's like a mini trying to catch a Porsche. Like, and Giggsy was that player. Like, people people will remember Giggs towards the end of his career when he went back into that centre midfield position, which I thought was a really good position for him. But they forget that Giggsy up until about 27, 28, and he was just. He wasn't the absolute quickest, but he was the quickest with the ball at his feet. And people absolutely do not understand when they talk about Giggsy now, and they talk about him like he was just this random guy, you know, who's won these leagues, and the only reason why he won a league was because it was in this amazing teams, right? That is partly correct. He was in these amazing teams. Giggsy is ignored because he cheated on his wife, and I will get into that, Cowboy. That's a really good point. But I'll come back on that. So if you stay on, I will come back on that. How is the best player in your national team? I'm Welsh, so hello, good evening to E River 7 UK. 90s Giggs was a wing wizard. Exactly. So came into the team at 18 years old. And what you've got to understand with Giggsy at that time when he came into the squad, you had the likes of Kanchelskis. I think Kanchelskis was there then. People don't understand. Kanchelskis was no mug. Like he was an absolute quality player. Lee Sharp, absolute quality player. People forget about these players. For Giggsy 18 to come through into that side, unbelievable, and to hold that place down, he was absolutely unbelievable. What a player! And to do it, you look like an older Giggs. you look a bit like an older Giggs. Thank you. Giggsy floated past players like the wingers today. They all struggle to beat their man. Exactly. I've been told that before. I do look a little bit like the older Giggsy. So Giggsy coming through, a pivotal player. There was many offers on the table. Giggsy was just a mainstay. There's a reason why he was a mainstay in this team. The experience, the mentality, and people forget that the mentality of Giggs. And as he got older, he then changed how he played. There's not many people that can do that. And then when he came back into the midfield, was he the same player? No, but he still adjusted his game and still impacted games the way that he did. And it was no surprise that he played till he was 40 years old. You don't play Premier League football till you're 40 if you don't look after your body. Just an absolute legend of a player. He got the nod over Lee Sharp. Exactly that, right? So Giggsy's career stats. So 632 games, 109 goals, 162 assists, 34 cups, 13 Premier Leagues, 4 FA Cups, 3 League Cups, 2 Champions Leagues, and 9 FA Shields, right? So I think people need to realise he keeps his fitness doing his brother's wife. Exactly, right? And these are, and again, this is exactly what we're talking about tonight, right? Is that obviously we can banter and we can say things, and I'm trying not to say stuff as well, right? So with those career stats in mind, the most 13 league, is that gonna be beaten? I don't think it will be. Okay, so for me, Giggs is the epitome of the Premier League, one of the original poster boys of the Premier League, one of the best Premier League players of all time, countless leagues of teams of the season, just an absolute legend of a player. Now, let's fast forward to this Hall of Fame nonsense stuff. So now, over the years, this Hall of Fame has started. Now, some of the Hall of Famers, do you think Giggsy will go down as one of the best wingers of all time? Scott, I don't think he will. I don't think he will. Jamie Vargas says it's a travesty that Giggs is not in the Hall of Fame. Is he the Pete Rose of the PL? He has to pass away before he gets in, which is exactly. Now, let me tell you who's in the shortlist this year, okay? And then I've written some names down. I'm sure there's more, but I'm going to tell you who's in the full list of the names this season. So you've got Campbell, Carrick, Defoe, Evra, Cedric Fabregas, Ferdinand, Les Ferdinand, Robbie Fowler, Hazard, Neville, Owen, Sheringham, Silva, Yaya Toure, Van der Sar, Vidic. Now, I've got no problems really with any of those players as such, right? So you look at that list and you go, yeah, there are players in there that you might go, maybe you won't get in this year, but I think Giggsy. So over those years, I think Giggsy should have been the first name on that sheet. How can you have Alan Shearer, the all-time scorer of Premier League, in, and the all-time Premier League winner not in there, right? So, and this is where it comes down to the hypocrisy. So let's talk about Ryan Giggs as a person. So let's separate out the player and let's separate out the person. Now, what I'm going to say is that if you're good at your job, so let's just say you're a surgeon, right? And you save people's lives, right? And I'm not suggesting that Ryan Giggs is that. But let's just say you're very good at your job. Whatever you do, you were good at your job, right? You're there every day, 20 years, 22 years, and you were very good at your job. But however, you're a shit person. You don't necessarily beat up people, or but you cheat on your wife. We want. I'm not reading that. But yes, we don't do that. Exactly that, right? So, Scott. Yeah, but to be fair, mate, that's sort of more of a morgue, isn't it? But but you cheat on your wife with living human people, and you cheat on her, or he, or it could be a girl. You cheat on your husband, on your partner, but does that detract away from your job? Now, what you could argue, in some respects, is look at that guy who was at the Coldplay thing, right? Now, the difference with that is that obviously he was at a Coldplay thing with his HR, and the reason why he got sacked was basically because obviously he was messing around with somebody at work. So that's the caveat to that, is that obviously if you are working with a person, Terry called Ferdinand exactly that, right? Exactly that, and do you know what? That's a very good point. Terry did, and yet Terry's in there. Okay, and I'll give you some more facts. Now, I got to say that that's an alleged event. I'm not gonna say that that's 100% correct. That's an alleged event that happened. We all have our opinions on that, right? But that again is a very, very good point. The hypocriticalness of the Premier League is astounding. So, with all that said, okay, now I just want to bring some things into this show, and you can let me know. So, the people that I'm going to mention now are all in the Hall of Fame. Now, let me go back for a second, right, and just say, okay, so let's talk about Giggsy, right? We all know what he did, right? The brother's wife thing, and it wasn't the first time that he'd played away. He did it before, and then he did it with his brother's wife, right? Obviously, there are some things in life whereby, obviously, it is absolutely unforgivable in terms of a family event. Not that my other half would go anywhere near my. But in terms of a family and as a person, you make your own conclusions. You can make your own conclusions about Scott. And again, I'm gonna come on to that because he's one of those on my list. So we all know what gigs he did. It's out there for the world. There's no, you can't hide from it. He lost he lost the Welsh job. Do I agree with? Well, okay, he lost the Welsh job because of the allegations of things that he apparently did from a physical sense. So I get that bit, and that's fine. That was proved not to be true. So, and I get the in terms of the allegations of that. E-Reaver 7 UK. I think he does. So in terms of the allegations that were against gigs, agreed. Right. But that was then pushed to the side. That was in a court of law proved not to be true. Fine. Right. I get that. Now, with all that said, let's look at some other players and let's see how hypocritical that this is. So Rooney, several affairs. Whatever we think, Rooney is in Rooney's in the Hall of Fame. Now, looking at Rooney, several affairs that there are. I mean, he's cheated on his wife, so many. Allegedly, and I do have to prefix this with allegedly, just in case I get sued. Allegedly, it's been all over the paper. I think it's a very well-known fact that he likes to let's just say he likes the older lady. He likes a little bit of as you say, he likes them older. Irrespective of that, there's several instances of that. Even though, like Giggsy, Rooney's got children. He's got 4 boys, I think. He's got a wife that he's been with for 20 years. Football career, at his feet, but yet he does the same thing as Giggs, but yet he gets in there. Arsene Wenger is in the Hall of Fame as well. Pay for the cheeky. Exactly. So Arsene Wenger is in there as well. So Arsenal, this manager, from his playing days, he wasn't great, but the managerial days, what a manager who took Arsenal places that they never thought. And in 2010, he had an affair with a French rapper, Sonia something or other. So he had an affair in 2010. He said at the time, I can't stand high just because he's French. Exactly. So 2010. He I think that's what's kind of started the downfall of his career. But he had an affair. I think that was a publicised one as well. But again, that's fine. He gets into the Hall of Fame. A certain Terry. So John Terry. We all know what he did. I think his affair, I think, was it as bad as sleeping with your brother's other half, public enemy number 1? Okay. Recharge Messi or Ronaldo? I've already answered this question. Really easy answer. Messi is a gift, natural talent. Ronaldo is the epitome of hard work. Scott, he's on the list as well, mate. He is on the list, right? So Terry, so when there was an active player, so Wayne Bridge, who played for Chelsea, he was a teammate of his. You can argue. Big up, Shivran. I'm doing very well, my friend. Big up to you as well, buddy. So Terry, you can argue this. Now I don't know how you feel about this. No, let me know, right? Is it worse to find out? Even exactly. I agree. Let's have a little read. So Bellamy said that. Now, for him to say that, he's not the greatest of people either. But JT stuck up an arsehole. Exactly. So you tell me, right? Give me your opinions on this. Is it worse to do what Ryan Giggs did with Rio is the biggest clown pundit? I want to see Belieber and Semenya in January so that we're prepared with the potential transition by the start of next season. What do you feel? All I'm going to say, and I did a show on that as well, talking about how maybe we've lined him up for the January window. All I'm going to say here is watch the spin. Just watch. Just be careful of the spin on this one. Do I think that a midfielder is possible in the January window? I'm going to say yes. But historically, we don't do anything in the window. Now, what I'm going to say, I'm with Scott on this one. I think it's spin. The more that I read, the more that I think about it. Now, there are other channels, and again, I don't like to quote them, but sometimes they frustrate the hell out of me. Now, this is not the biggest one. This is somebody who used to work on the biggest one. And he reckoned today that United have had a phenomenal window. Now you may agree with that philosophy. Now, there are 2 points that I think were made. I feel INEOS deserve more credit. I believe they're going to get the same. Shivram. We can switch for a second, and I'm happy to switch topics just for a second there as well. Is that I think what I will say again is as you know on here is that different people have their opinions on different things, and just because I don't think that doesn't mean that that's not true. Now, do I think so? This certain person that reckoned today that INEOS have had this phenomenal window. It is the best window that we've ever had, and how they can now judge Amorim on this season because Amorim has got like all his players. Now, the first thing I'm going to say to that is what a load of bollocks, because Amorim doesn't have all his players. The players that we've got rid of, Amorim never used. He played one of those players, and the rest of the team are still the same team that finished 15th last season. So this person is talking out of his butt. I sort of respect the channel. Yes, he was on a massive platform, and people. Some of his takes, I just don't get it. To say that he can judge Amorim on basically having the same set of players that he had last season, other than 3 or 4. This is the same team, and he didn't get a midfielder in, right? So I'm sorry, but you're talking out of your ass. And then the next thing to say that we had a phenomenal window. Now, I agree to get rid of all those players was good, but we sold 2 players. The rest were loans. Højlund is a loan. Højlund can come back. We've sold 2 players, and the rest can come back. So for this phenomenal window that we've had, well, we haven't. And also the comment that he said is that if we wanted to get a midfielder, we could have got a midfielder. What a load of bollocks! Like, we were trying to scratch around to get one. We went in £55 million for a Brighton midfielder that everybody knew was going to be like 100 million. And this person is talking about how Amorim could have just got one. Fucking nonsense. Absolute nonsense. So there's so much spin up there that there are. What I'm going to say to you is be careful out there of some of the channels. And I'm talking about not the big ones, but there are mid-tier ones, and they talk absolute crap. So, Shivram, to get back to your point, do I think that INEOS deserve credit? The jury's out. The jury is out for me on that. And I'll tell you for why that it is. They didn't get a centre midfielder. And we can say what we like. So Cunha was an easy deal to do. We spent 7 weeks chasing a player, only to spend 70 million on him, but chasing him for 7 weeks and then paying a price that we were told to pay. And Sir Jim's ethos was, we're not gonna run to a bad deal, we're gonna walk to a good deal. We walked into an okay deal. Shesko, I think it's been a signing that's been good. You can argue Lemens is good as well, but we should have got a first choice keeper. You could argue that, but again, Lemens for me, I'm a Lemens fan, but you could argue that. But we are missing a centre midfielder, so the jury's out. If we get a centre midfielder in Jan, but I think it's spin, then I agree that INEOS are doing some good stuff. But let's be having this right. Let's be having this straight, right? We loaned all these players out. We've got all of their wages off of our books. We've got money into this club. We sold 2 players. Where's that money gone? And I won't be told that it's for the next window. Why didn't we do it now? Why do we need to wait till the next window? We should have these players in now. Bruno is going to go. Casemiro will go as well. We should have been getting a plan in now to get a player who's going to succeed these players, and we've not. So I do agree that INEOS should have credit for some stuff, but this rhetoric and this spin about they're doing a good job, absolute nonsense. I give this window 6 out of 10. Attack was addressed. We got a new keeper, but it feels incomplete. I can see why you get that, and I don't disagree with that. I think for me, the window was a 4. Anana's gone, so I think it's a 5. I don't disagree with a 6. You could argue a 6, and again, you're going to get your opinions in, and I'm not going to necessarily disagree. People are valid to have their opinions. For me, I think this window was a 4, now it's a 5. So I think we've addressed some of that, but it's just pre-season, the way that we've only sold 2 players, where some of the fan base and some of the channels who are clearly up INEOS's butt because they want their little inroads and they want their questions asked when the time comes. Scoring it above a 5 for me, a 5 or 6, is just how is that possible? With the length of time it took to do the deals, with the amount of spin, and the spin is still there now. For me, 5. Shivram said, but last season players were clueless on what to do. It was chaos. Shivram, I think that's down to the manager. I give credit to INEOS for letting the manager manage, but that's nothing to do with them. That's nothing to do with them. That is to do with the coach. And I think what seems to me the problem here is that people are giving INEOS the credit for this. The only person that's getting the bad press in here is Amorim. Everyone's saying that INEOS are doing this right, they've done that right, they've done this right. Ruben is the one that's having to do this. So the stability and what I believe will be a redemption, and what I believe is what we're going to start seeing now is Amorim, and it's all down to him. Scott says it's a 3 or 4 max. We've got 2 number 10s when we had Bruno. Yeah, good. We've got a good young keeper, but not really good window for me. I agree. Belieber looks like he cost 100 million for the first 3 games because he doesn't want to be there. Exactly, Shivram. If Belieber plays, it could be a case that Belieber doesn't want to be there anymore, and head's been turned, and maybe we will get him, and maybe at the end of next season he's not going to be worth 100 million. You look at what's his name? My old man head's gone. Who went to Roma? Evan Ferguson. Right, we were quoted 100 million, and then he just dropped off the face of the earth. So believe it, I don't think will go that way. But there must be more of those players out there. It's very difficult to get them. But if we pay 100 million for him, maybe that was the wrong thing to do. Maybe INEOS are right, but right now the jury's out because I'm not seeing it. We needed a midfield player, and we didn't get one. This is because he doesn't want to be exactly Scott. He 878-year max. Shantang says, hello. Wouldn't even say that. United Stand is the best channel. Period. Shan, then feel free to go over there. If you're look in life, you like certain things and you don't like things. If this is not your choice, it's completely free. Just feel free to go over there. Mark and like the crew over there been, they've been out there for 10 years. People seem to follow him however he speaks to people. And if that's your thing, you go for it. You don't have to watch this channel. It's completely free, and that's the beauty of this. You can just scroll to the next thing, ignore me completely, and go and watch your favourite people. So feel free. No one said it's not, mate. Exactly. For me, this window is an 8. And again, I think that's an interesting take. I think I can see why people would rank this window an 8. I can do, but for me, it depends on how you look at the window, right? So if you're looking at a window and going, look, we've bought two of the league's best players, got probably one of the best young strikers. We've got rid of Anana. We've got rid of a bunch of players, and if that's how you consume and that's how you look, fine. If you still think that and you think to yourself, well, actually, Amrin's still got the same team that finished 15th last season, that still shows. Pre-season wasn't brilliant. We took ages to buy players, took ages to get rid of these players. And even if you think all of that and you still think it's an 8, fantastic. Anana leaving this window makes it a 10. Chevron never made it's a 3. Chevron for me it's an 8. It's a cultural change. We need this more than a CM. Oh no, he's got brilliant. Guys, this is some really, really good stuff tonight. I really enjoy these debates, and it would be really boring if we all thought it was the 4-3 window. But I'm glad that someone thinks it's an 8. I'm glad that someone thinks it's a 10 out of 10. Paul, welcome. It's a 6. Again, I can see why people think it's just I can look at it from a logical perspective and go, I can see why people think it's an 8. I can see why people think it's a 6. I'm leaning towards a 4 or a 5. I think for me, I would have given it a 3, probably a 4, and maybe Anana's. I can't even say his name. The fact that Anana's gone, maybe that boosts it up to a 4.5. But maybe the cultural shift of the club as well, maybe that gives it a 5. But I'm yet to see the cultural shift. We're talking about a cultural shift, right? So I get it, right? I get it, but I'm not seeing it on a pitch. The mentality. I don't want to see a culture shift. I think that's a little bit, or I think that's a bit like, that's a bit light. What I want to see is a mentality change. You can have like a culture change where people hugging and kissing and giving high fives and everyone's a mate again, and they all have food together and they all play Twister together and they're all, singing songs together. That's fine. That's great. Right? That's fantastic. That's culture. I want to see a mentality change. What I want to see are these players, these low IQ players. I want to see them fighting for the badge. I want to see them fighting for each other. So if one of the young kids gets I don't know, smacked over. I want to see Fernandez rushing over. I want to see these players surrounding these players, protecting each other. I don't care about their culture, you know, if they're not, you know, I don't know, if they're, I don't know, you know, singing songs together, you know, great, and you know, that's great. I want to see fighters and leaders, not none of this nonsense. I want to see them fight for the badge. Twisted Fate, big up man. Hope you're well. It's a 7 for me. Signing's great. I like Iffy and Shesko. Our guns and loans are good. Not a sign that the midfielder drops you from a 9. I think your mate's come back, JB. He was pissed off the other night. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I offend anybody, it's not on purpose. I hope people will testify to this, that I'm not a dictator of this chat. You know, unlike some other places that you may go, it's their word or that's it. I'll give you my opinion. You guys give your opinions. I'll read stuff out and then we can debate it as adults. And that is what we do. Viper, I don't think I can rank them until I see them for a bit longer. It's not, Scott, mate. If that is their choice, absolutely fine with me. So Tyler Dibbling 2, good young talent, but was quoted 80 million in the beginning, left for 35 million. Man wants to bring Keno back. Absolutely. I like Cunha. He's got the grit and bite. I agree with you. Stiff, I'm offended that they got offended. Satam. Exactly, mate. Oh, you crack me up, Scott. So back to the Giggsy debate, because I just want to look at some of these names a tiny bit more, because I just think the hypocrisy is ridiculous. So Terry, who cheated on a teammate or a former teammate of his. Now, what I wanted to ask you, right, is what's worse, right? A sibling who Scott, you crack me up. I've liked my neighbour for months. Finally talked to her. Right. Let me read this. I've liked my neighbour for months. Finally talked to her yesterday, and it's looking good. Shurijan, mate, congratulations. That's fantastic news. I'm glad you had the courage, because I think you came on here the other day and you were talking about that. Mate, there's nothing to lose, right? What is the worst thing that can happen is that she says no. Mate, I've been told no many, many times. And obviously I've respected that no, right? But, you know, you can't win them all, right? So what is the worst thing that can happen is you talk to somebody, they say yes, happy days. So all I can just echo, the only thing I'm going to echo is, go on, my son. Go on, just, you know, get in there, stuck in there, take her out on some dates. You never know if it's, you know, I don't know if it's a he or a she, you know, I you know, everything's okay, you know, here. Good luck, you know, just, you know, dates, wine, I don't know if you drink, you know, for some food, you know, some chat, you know, what you could do, you could watch this together, you know, and just, you know. Twisted Fate, fun fact, Giggs could give Arsenal starting 11 a premish and they still have more individually than them. Exactly. Giggs, you should definitely be exactly. So, question I wanted to ask you guys is, what's worse? Okay, what's worse? A sibling cheating on your wife, right? With your wife, or your best mate? Like, what's worse? And the answer is that it depends. But I think they're equally as bad, right? You know, people that you trust, people that's supposed to like have your back, you're siblings probably should have your back more, right? But exactly, right? Exactly the response. Exactly, cheating is cheating, right? And that's exactly the point that I was about to make. Whether it's a sibling, whether it's your, your mate, but do you know what? That is so true. So, but that's condoned. So Terry is fine, even though he did that to a teammate. That's absolutely fine. Might still get rejected, but better than waiting. Exactly. You never know. You never know. Beckham. Let's talk about Beckham. So Beckham was in the. So Beckham's in as well, right? But Rebecca Lewis. So David Beckham, at the time, I think had two. He either had Brooklyn and the other one, but I know he had one son. Went over to Spain, and Rebecca Lewis happens, and that's not an alleged thing. If you watch the Beckham Netflix thing, they don't go into it too much, but it's a fact, right? So Beckham, even though Beckham had a family here, he was away in Spain, having the best time, portrayed to be this, captain, this mature guy, who came back from, the whole England thing that happened. He got through that, and again, you shouldn't be confusing the two, and then got his move to Spain, and then the first chance he got, what was he doing? He was cheating on his other half, and so, but again, that's okay. So Beckham is allowed into the Hall of Fame. Twisted Fate says, but I'm the type of friend that I see if you are in the wrong, I will tell them that exactly. I think that you absolutely have to just be honest, right? If you're in the wrong, that you are, but sometimes you have to separate certain things out. You could be an absolute terrible husband, but as a father, you could be an amazing father, right? You could be an awful father, but an amazing husband, right? You could be a horrible family man, but good at your job. So sometimes you have to separate the two out. Sometimes the two do go in hand to hand, but you've got to be able to separate these things out, which the Premier League can seem to do for these players, but not for Giggsy. I'm in aviation. 90% of people cheat on each other here. I stay out of these. Wow, outside. Wow, that is. The industry that I'm in. Yeah, it is pretty rife. I found out. I got a text about a week ago from somebody that I've known for years and years and years, and their wife, after 20 years, has left him for another man, and it just happens. It is shocking. It destroys families. It just destroys so many different things. However, the Premier League and the can't seem to separate that. Now, one thing I will say about Giggsy, I think the reason why when the Hall of Fame first happened, the reason why he didn't get in there, Chessplay says, I love my wife. Big up to your wife. I love my wife as well. But she's she's an amazing person, my wife. She is she's amazing. So if you love your wives, tell them, and hopefully they will respond back. But experience the thought of being cheated on doesn't really scare me. If it happens, it happens. Yeah, but I don't think it's nice. Talking from I can't talk from experience, not being a cheater or cheated on. I've been very, very fortunate in that way. There's something that I could say now that Scott would know, but it's fine. Yeah, but not being a cheater or a cheated on. I think I think people at times can spend too much time thinking about it. But I mean, it's one of those things in life that is just awful. Scott, exactly, mate, exactly, Scott. The third leg. This is why I've never been. Exactly, Scott. Exactly, my friend. You got it completely. Lucky Singh says so. So Glazer's out. Xerxes, Benjamin Shesko, Dorgu. We want to come back from international soon as possible. Know your worth, lads. Need to move on if you want. Forgive if you want. I think that's a very, very mature way to think about it. I think at the end of the day, it's not very nice. I know people that have been through it, and people who suffered. There's kids, and as a guy, I can tell you tales. But yeah, it's a really difficult place, and I have got a video actually that I'm gonna bring out actually. Men cheat, women cheat, exactly. So Movember is obviously just round the corner as well. So I've got a video that I actually made last year, but I think it's a really, really good point to have. I think when we come close to that time, maybe that we can have more of that sort of conversational piece. But I think men, I think in particular, don't really talk about this stuff, right? And I think we find it hard to talk about this stuff. And as we're talking about this as well, I think it's really important at times that this is why you need to separate out the work and the person, because just because you're good at your job, the personable stuff as well, I think gets lost for the good and the bad as well. So, and particularly if you're a man, I can only talk from a man's perspective. Ladies, I can't necessarily talk about how you deal with stuff, but I can only talk about the epidemic, the stuff that happens to men that I think is awful. And I've got a video that I will bring out on that as well. And it's just me talking about stuff, things that are like happened to me, and that kind of stuff as well. So yeah, that's just a little side note. City, let's have a look. City will be reeling. They have 7 injuries. The time we overdo best teams in the league. Forgiveness is the strongest quality that you can have. You don't need to speak ever again, but being able to forgive is a strong asset. I agree with you. Twisted Fate, I think that's a very, 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 again, it's a very, very mature, very intelligent way to look at life. And I wish more people thought in that way as well. Very, very intelligent from an emotional point as well. Why I hate international breaks exactly. Are you going to grow a moustache? Yes. I will do. So I mean, for me, it's really easy, right? I mean, I'll literally just shave this bit and this bit, and yeah, it will be massive. So I will do that. I'm gonna release a video quite soon actually, because I want to lead up to that. So I'll probably bring it out very, very soon actually. But yeah, I think it's really, really important. As we're talking about this, I think it's really, really important that we support each other. I think it's really important that we support men's health as well. Now I know ladies are here as well, and I apologise for that, but I think men sometimes don't get enough, don't get a voice enough. So I'm very, very big on that as well. And again, the video will talk to you about stuff that I've been through, and then you'll understand why I'm so passionate about the things that I do. That's why I've liked my neighbour for so long. Might have heard a lot of other conversations with a friend. Seems the kind of person to put in an effort for her. Mate, give it a go. Put in an effort. See what happens. Just be careful though. Some women, people, men, women, girls, boys, just be careful. Just make sure that they feel feel the same way back, because the effort should be reciprocated. Let's get number one over to exactly. Man, I can't even grow a beard. I mean, mate, I literally sneeze and I get a beard. Well, look, you can I don't know, you can put on like a fake moustache. I'm 33. I've had a beard since I was about 12. Scott, I have the opposite. My beard grows too much. I know that feeling, mate. We need put more pressure as City. They're not. Agree with you. I think that. I think that. Wouldn't it be funny if we absolutely battered City and we got Pep sacked? See, that would be my ideal. There's that we put one over on them, we smash them 6-0, and he gets the sack. That would be amazing. So back to my list. Okay, so next person, Ashley Cole. Right now we know the story. Now the interesting thing about him, and get in the comments if you're old enough to remember that Ashley Cole stuff. So Sol Campbell is is on the list. So Sol Campbell thinks he should be a Sir Campbell because I don't know. He thinks he does. So years and years ago, there was a what you call it, a rumor about Ashley Cole and Campbell. Now, it's absolutely fine. You know, whatever you do within the comfort of your own home. And this is a bit of an urban myth, right? That Ashley Cole allegedly, and I'm not saying that this is true. This is an alleged urban myth that apparently Ashley Cole and Sol Campbell used to hide things in places. So basically, it's hilarious that Ashley Cole hid a phone in Sol Campbell's pocket, but it's the prison pocket. That's all I'm going to say on it, right? It's like an urban myth. Allegedly, I've never heard it be true, but that's the thing. Anyway, so he's a serial cheat, married to Cheryl Cole, who at the time was considered, a normal, nice girl, had pretty much the perfect life. Serial cheat. I mean, absolute. If you're gonna, as Twisted Fate has said there, cheating. If you're a cheat, then you're a cheat, right? Ashley Cole is a multiple offender, right? Multiple offender. Yet he gets into the Hall of Fame. Now, I'll go through the last one. Stevie G. Now, Stevie G, there are, again, everything's alleged with Stevie G. Nothing's ever been proven. I think he's put a load of orders out there that have gagged the people from saying whatever they wanted to say. Loads of gagging orders out there from Stevie G. So you're never going to find the facts, and this is alleged stuff. But apparently he's he's a little bit tasty as well. But yet he's in the Premier League as well. So this Hall of Fame stuff for me is just an absolute hypocrisy. Giggsy, yes, he did what he did. Now, what I am going to say is as well on this is now one of the reasons that the Premier League will cite as a reason for this is because Giggsy allegedly was in court for, and I'm not condoning this. I think it's awful, and if it is, it's not true. It was proved in a court of law that is not true. Is that Giggsy was accused of doing physical things to people. Now, yes, I would always argue that and just say, look, if Giggsy was found guilty of that, I think that's a different argument. I think, can you have a criminal in terms of physical to, and we all know what the state of the world is like now. You can't even look at the opposite sex in a particular way without, being called stuff and being banned. So if that was the case, then that's fine. But that's been proven in the court of law to be false. So there you sort of have it. Is that Ryan Giggs again has been overlooked, despite what you think of him as a person. I don't know him. From what I've read, I wouldn't trust Giggsy with my wife. I wouldn't trust him with my mum. I wouldn't trust him with my gran. But as a football player, amazing, underrated player, which is absolutely ridiculous for somebody that's won the league 13 times. So, yeah, let's check what else we've got. Remember, Cherky, Phil Foden, John Stones, Mateo Kovac really struggled. Oh, Scott, Reaver 7, amazing, Twisted Fate. What's Noah saying? Listen to my song. Candyman King channel. No. Yeah. Honestly. Cool. Done. Pedro, there will be no Stevie G slander on my watch. Pedro, there will be. Pedro, there is no slander. But I will say what I want to say on here if I believe that there is some things in it. I don't do things for clickbait, but if you don't like it, the door's there. This is completely free. All I'm going to say with Slippy G is the guy is very, very slippy. There are a few facts around there that Stevie G did issue some orders that gagged people from saying what they wanted to say. So everything is alleged, and I'm not going to even say what the allegations or the rumours were, but I'm making a point is that not everyone is innocent. If you think Stevie G is whiter than white, if you think most footballers are, then I think you're a very naive person. But Slippy G, I'm sorry, is he's not as white as you think he is. He is not as clean as you think he is. If you can't handle the truth, feel free to go away. If you don't like it, exactly, the Manchester United channel, exactly, Pedro, exactly that. So and it's not a, I'm not. Did he? And again, if there are other fans on here, this is. I absolutely get the defence of your club, 100%, right? And this is not a dig at fans at all, but facts is facts, right? We can talk about Michael Owen, right? Slippy G defo getting out the baby oil. Exactly, it is speculation, but and probably the funniest one is Owen. So Michael Owen, apparently, if it was last year or apparently he begged. So this is Owen, right? Whose morals are, he played for Liverpool, came through. What an absolute he did. Went to played for the Reds, and then came over to our club. Scored that goal, celebrated like he just won the league, which he did. Mr. Boring, who apparently has only ever watched 4 films in his life and hated them all, doesn't listen to songs. He's Mr. Boring, and he basically begged. And again, this is alleged. I do think this is true because I think this is out there. Allegedly begged for nude from a contestant on some show, and even Owen, who was a family man apparently, but in his statement he said that when he was with his wife, it was a sham, and it was a marriage of convenience. I'm sure she wasn't saying the same thing. So even Michael Owen, Beckham, Ashley Cole, Slippy G, Wenger, Rooney, all these players, and now that Giggsy was found innocent, and I'm not condoning it, now he was found innocent in a court of law. What is stopping the Premier League from putting in arguably its best player that it's ever had? So the hypocrisy for me is absolutely ridiculous. Now, so where are so England tomorrow night. I won't be covering that game because it's a big pile of crap. Andorra was laughable. Scott, you're entitled to have that opinion. I just can't read it out. So tomorrow, England. I don't think we've got any players playing for England, which is always good. I don't think that they played against Andorra particularly well. I guess the good thing about me is that there's no bias. So when I talk about England, I support them in terms of I live in England. I've lived in England longer than I've ever lived in Wales. But I'm very neutral and very fair when it comes to England. So I'm not blinded by the 1966. I don't sing all the songs, so I'm very, I've got an open mind, right? So Andorra, I think that there are no easy games anymore. But I think that the fact that Spain went to Turkey and absolutely spanked them 6-0, and I mean 6-0 was a flattering result. I thought they could have scored 8 or 9. So the fact that England are at home, they should be beating Andorra. Now the game tomorrow, again, I think is going to be another damp squid. I'm not going to cover that game. Two world wars and one World Cup. Exactly. I don't sing them songs because I just don't. But yeah, Liam Mill says hi, hello, buddy. So for me, England, I'm not going to cover that game tomorrow, just because I don't want to bore myself to sleep. Absolutely, do not want to bore myself to sleep. Binja Gaming says hi, sir. How are you? I am very well, my friend. I hope you are doing really, really well. So focus on the weekend. I'm sure the presser will be out soon. So when Amorim has done the press conference, cool. Yes, Scott. I saw that, mate. I will get back to you on that. Yeah, I have seen it. I will get back to you on that email. So I will be back tomorrow. Just before I go, I will be back. I might be back tomorrow. I don't know. I'm still working on the new thing behind me. Still, trying to get that fixed. So probably the shows that I'll do now will probably be more like a proper show. I spent most of today building this thing and setting things up. So hopefully that should be good to go tomorrow. And then whenever the press conference is out, Scott saying aye, yippee, yippee. Oh, amazing. Yeah, so the press conference, and if there's anything that does break, I don't know what's going to break, I will jump back on and let you guys know. Obviously, it's a little bit quiet in this part now, the international break, trying to find things to talk about. I know I'm not one to sort of spam the airwaves with stuff that I just don't think is crap. Are you gonna have dinner, or have you had it already? I've had my dinner already. Let me know what you're gonna have for your dinner, or if you've had your dinners. Tonight I had paella, which I made myself. Just do a watch, also we can have a laugh. I might do. Maybe. I don't know what day. What's tomorrow? Tuesday. Oh, nice. Yeah, I made it myself. I'm a dab hand. I can cook. Edible as well, which is always good. I had some homemade tandoori chicken kebabs. Blinking heck, Scott. That's a bit fancy, isn't it, mate? That's a bit fancy. I went to the gym this afternoon as well, so I needed some carbs. Feel absolutely shattered now. Just absolutely knackered. Somebody sent me some new. I just reheated some pasta I made yesterday. Ah, Reva 7. That is, come on, mate. That's a bit sad, isn't it? I ordered takeaway because CBA cooking today. What takeaway was it? With a ton of parmesan. I mean, I always think if you reheat pasta, I mean, I don't mind a bit of pasta. Recharge access. Hello, my friend. I mean, I've reheated and eaten some disgusting things in my life. I just always find pasta like the next day a little bit like, I don't know, it's a little bit like, but you know, yeah. So I'm gonna go, guys. Another fantastic show, as always. The views are the one thing that's concerning me, guys, and I'm not going to lie, isn't pasta bad to reheat. No, as long as you absolutely blast it, then it's fine. And the same for rice as well. As long as you absolutely blast it and only reheat it once, then you're fine. You just gotta smack it once, really hot. Yeah, but you've got to absolutely blast it with heat. Yeah, guys, don't forget to like, favourite and subscribe. It really does help us out. The numbers in the last couple of days have been quite low. Not, look, right, I want this channel to get big, and I want to do some amazing things, but encouraging people to like, favourite, subscribe. You can tell your friends, your family, just give us a quick like. The more views, it helps pushing us out. I'm going to try to do some new stuff as well, so maybe that will help out the channel as well, guys. But yeah, I mean, I'll continue to push this as long as you guys want me on here and you want the channel to be live. I will absolutely continue this week. So yeah, it's quite slow. So let's see. But guys, thank you for being here. I honestly cannot express every single show the same people that are here. We get new people, absolutely just every single day we grow. And even if you grow by a person a day, it's just absolutely phenomenal. And as I will always say, and this is really important for me to say, is that in life you can't buy time, you can't buy health, and the fact that you guys have spent time with me tonight, you spent over an hour with me, even if it's a minute, a second, an hour, it is. I can't, and I'll never stop ending a show with that, is because it's so important. The conversations that we've had on here is that it is just unreal. You're becoming such a part of my everyday. You can't buy heaven, but I can buy a car. Exactly. You can buy a car. Cracking me up. But yeah, I mean, guys, just phenomenal. I love these shows. These evening shows for me are the best. Just talking about, we sort of have a theme and then we randomly talk about stuff. So amazing stuff, guys. Thank you. Have a good rest of your morning, evening, afternoon. Enjoy your pasta. If you've not had your pasta yet, just please don't forget to like, favourite, subscribe, and most importantly, don't forget to heat that pasta. Please, whatever you do, heat pasta or rice, because otherwise you're going to get ill. So please heat up that more than a like. more than a subscription, right? Heat pasta, okay? Heat pasta, heat rice, and then you're good to go. So on that note, guys, on that food note, I'll be back tomorrow at some point. And yeah, I'll see you guys very, very soon, legends, and see you on the next one. Take care.